You're listening to Family Today with Funmi Johnson.
Welcome again. This is Family Today, this beautiful Friday morning, and we're really going to have Charity, the wife of Charity Babatunde, here again. I could not let her go. Last week was awesome, and there were too many questions we could not handle in 30 minutes. We're going to try again today. We will not allow call-ins because we want to really drill down and make sure that we get the meat of this. What is our goal? Our goal is to let you know that marriage is important to God, because when two come together, when two agree, Matthew 18 verse 19 says, if two of which you shall agree together concerning anything on earth, it shall be done by our Father in heaven. I think that is the goal. If you can come together, two of you, you can make much things happen. So we are not going to say that marriage is bad. Marriage is good. Marriage is important. Marriage is the will of God. But you see, we can't continue to endure it. We can make our marriages beautiful the way God wants it. And that is what we're doing today. And so again, I've called Charity, and I want you to go to rave_etal and follow that on Instagram. Go on their blog, Parenting, and find out, how can you... She's going to tell you a bit more about that. And why did I bring Charity again? Charity has been married for 28 years. She has 2 young adults, and she mingles a lot with young people. And we want to talk about what can you do to prepare for your marriage? What can you do to actually fail-proof your marriage? Are we saying there are not going to be troubles? No. There will be troubles. Everywhere there are human beings, there would always be conflicts and there will be resolutions. But there are some things, there are some heartaches we can prevent. That's what we want to talk about today. Welcome again, Charity.
Thank you very much, Funmi. It's great to be here. And I must say I had a wonderful time last week.
Thank you.
And I've had a time to think, through a lot of the conversations we've had. Like you said, marriage is a beautiful thing. And it's something that one should aspire to. Yes, I agree, and I reiterate again that not everybody will get married.
Come on.
Is it desirable? Yes. But the reality is that not everybody will get married. Can you still live a fulfilled life without being married? Absolutely. Now, what is it? Because one of the things we talked about last week was, why is it that young people are not looking forward to marriage as we would have hoped that they would? And one of the things that came out was the fact that it looks like they've seen too many bad cases.
Come on.
They've seen too many failed marriages. Does that mean we throw away the baby with the bathwater and decide that, okay, you know what, since it's not working, nobody should do it? No. What it is, so we then go back and think, what could we have done differently? So I'll start with a personal story, and then I will hopefully in the course of the conversation come to where I am now. When I got married 28 years ago, I was honestly in love with the idea of marriage. And I must say that I was absolutely, I am absolutely a blessed woman. But to be very honest,
you married to my friend. You have to be a blessed woman.
I'm married to your brother, I had absolutely no clue what I really wanted.
What you were going into.
All I knew was that I wanted to be happily married. What did happily married mean? I honestly did not break it down. Now, on the flip side, which is where I think the grace and mercy of God comes in, my husband was clear about what he wanted.
Holy Spirit.
He knew what he wanted in a wife, and he went for it. I jokingly tell people that I am blessed that I did not enter one chance. So I am married to a good man. That's the truth. And honestly, if it was left to me, it wouldn't have happened.
Charity, can I just buttress that? Your case is just like mine. My husband had a 44-line list. 44?
Wow.
44. He didn't show me. He said he had prayed about it. He's been praying about it, and he knew what he was looking out for. Until the day of my marriage, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to marry. I wasn't sure. So just like you, I would have entered one chance.
Yep.
But God in His mercy, God in His mercy made me to marry a man that had focus, that had direction, that knew what he wanted. For the better part of the marriage, he's been the one that had kept the marriage. Left to me, I would have just left the thing. But you see, not want to throw it away.
For me, I must come in here and say that yes, I didn't enter one chance, but there were struggles. Probably would not have arisen if I knew who I was
Come on.
and what it was that Charity
wanted.
wanted.
That brings us to what we're saying, that the first thing is to understand yourself.
Understand yourself. So you're not going into marriage for somebody to unearth who you are.
Wow.
You're going because you have found somebody that you can complement and can complement you. So the starting point, like I would say to my daughter, who are you? That is the starting point. Who am I? And then what do I want? You know,
so what you're saying to the singles is, before you even go ahead and start thinking about marriage, do you know yourself?
Do you know? And you see, when you are discovering who you are, don't go with the mindset of a critic. Don't critique who you're
supposed to be.
Exactly. Don't critique who you're supposed to be. Realistically, who am I? I am somebody who does not like it when somebody smiles.
Wow.
I'm somebody who doesn't like it when I like this, I do not like. There's no right or wrong answer. Forget about your areas of weaknesses that you want to work on.
But describe yourself.
What do I like and what don't I like? I like somebody who speaks Queen's English.
Come on.
I like somebody who is not fine, so that nobody will be looking at the person. It is you. Who are you? What do you want? So when you have been able to find out who you are and what you want, then you begin to say, okay, what can I take from another person?
Wow.
And what are the deal breakers?
Wow.
When you have that, I mean, your husband's 44-point list was rather long. Thank God for SMS now. You know, we do everything short. So if you can have 10, a list of 10 things.
And what?
10 things that I want. I say to people that I'm close to, young people that I'm close to, if you get a man who scores 7 over 10,
come on,
go ahead.
Give it a thought.
Give it a thought, and then make sure that the remaining 3
are not fundamental.
So make sure that you're not compromising. Now, again, nobody can draw up that list for you.
Come on.
Not your mother, not your father, not even the man.
Wow.
You are the one who will draw it up. What do I want?
So are we saying that only girls should have a list?
Oh, no.
Okay, what are you saying?
Men should have that list too. I mean, I had a very interesting conversation with a young man who said, you know, he's been happily married for about 6-7 years, and who said he had a list, so to speak, of what he wanted. He knew what he wanted, and how that worked for him was that when he met females, and they didn't quite fit in, he knew, look, there's no point really wasting time. This is not what I want. You see, it's not an exercise that you take flippantly, and it to be very honest, it can be a bit painful, because you're actually looking at yourself and saying, I'm accepting myself for who I am.
So what you're saying is, singles, if you're listening to us, what we're saying is, confront the brutal fact
of yourself,
of your life.
Yes. Who am I?
You know something.
Where was I raised?
Where was I raised?
What kind of upbringing
do I have?
How do I want? I mean, again, there's this young man who works for me, and he's, you know, when you say somebody's dark, he's dark. You know, he's black. You know, but he has decided that to compliment me, I want yellow. So anybody that is black that is moving towards him, he already knows. This one may be a deal breaker. It's his list. Another person can decide black is beautiful. The two of us are black. You know, so it is your list.
Wow. It is your list.
It is your list.
So the first thing we're saying today on Family Today is have an understanding of who you are. Based on that understanding, draw up a list of your do's and your don'ts. What can you take? What can you not take? You know, let me share this story with you. You know, there are 3 young men, and they said, we have been poor and broke all our life. The way to make it for us is to go and marry someone from a rich home. Is that fair?
It's their list. It's their list.
So if it works for them?
If it works for them. But you see, the thing is that if they go in with the wrong motive, it's going to shop later on.
Come on.
If you marry somebody because the only thing that is on that list is that her father must be wealthy and must be leaving an inheritance, you will find out that there's more to marriage than that.
Wow.
So the father is wealthy. The father has left an inheritance, but she is arrogant, she is saucy, she disrespects you, she talks to you anyhow. Is that what you want?
So how can you now guide us in this list? How do we know the no-nos, the fundamentals?
There are absolutely no no-nos, but it must be balanced. That's why we didn't say make a list of 1. And it's not a list that you just do, okay, one evening. Prayerfully look at what it is that you want, because you honestly may not even really know who you are. Wow. It may even involve asking people who are close to you, what kind of person am I?
Wow.
Who do you think? And then you go back and sit down. And you know, the good thing is, after that exercise, you will go away looking at how you can even improve
on yourself.
You go away looking at, okay, these are the areas, you know what? And then you confront whether it's fickleness. If you find out that some of these things on my list, you know, are a bit fickle, you confront your fickleness and does this really matter? Does this really matter?
Maybe this is just wishful thinking. This is not really fundamental. This is not important.
It's not a big deal. And for the ones that are big deals, then you know that, look, for me, these are my top 3.
Wow.
They're fundamental.
I can't compromise on this.
But you see, that's just one aspect of the list.
Okay.
By the time you finish that list of 10, I will then say, after a while, if you have even gotten into a relationship, look at what are the deal breakers and drop a list of 5.
Wow.
Why do I say that? Because at many instances in the relationship, you would feel that, you know what, I'm not doing again. Don't decide not to do again for things that are really not fundamental. Because the person you have met is a human being. He is not perfect. She is not perfect. They will have their failings. They will have their weaknesses. Are they fundamental enough for me to decide that this is a deal breaker? To you, it may be fundamental. To me, I mean, this is a joke, but I remember before I got married, there was a guy, I didn't have a list, but somehow, you know how in your head, you know the things you didn't want. And the guy had a problem pronouncing Charity. So it was Charity. And I knew for me that was a deal breaker because I couldn't wake up.
Hello, sweetheart.
No, I couldn't wake up every day.
Charity, my love.
It was a deal breaker. It was a deal breaker for me. I mean, there was no point in continuing the conversation.
And you will hear that every day of your life.
Exactly.
No way.
And you know how sometimes you think initially, oh, it's so cute. Honestly, after 5 years, you will find out that there's nothing cute about it. It is an irritation. So, I mean, if there's anything you're going to take away from this conversation, it's your list. You are the one who know yourself and be honest about who you are.
And if you discover what you have seen is not good enough for you, it's probably not going to be good enough for anybody.
Well, no. But you see, that is not entire, because one man's meat
is another man's.
It may be very good for somebody else. Somebody may actually be looking at what it is that you don't want, which is why you shouldn't even compare yourself with another person. There's some, speaking to my friends, I know some of them who have said, I do not want my children to marry into a very wealthy home.
Wow.
And they're very wealthy. Wow. And their reasons could range from the fact that many children, that is their reason. I'm not saying that
those kind of homes
are spoilt.
Wow.
And I do not want somebody who cannot, who is always running to their mom or their dad to sort them out.
Cannot solve problems on their own.
But you see, what will happen is that they will guide their children along what it is that they're thinking.
I want us to talk about parents now. We've been talking to the singles and saying to them, discover yourself, know who you are, and then see how you can use that knowledge of yourself to guide yourself in the choice of who to marry. But as parents, what can we do to help our young adults, our 25, 26, 27, who are saying, you know what, I'm not in a hurry? Because it is actually good to marry and to marry early if we have that choice. So what can we do?
Well, truth of matter is, this may sound not like the answer that you would want to hear or people would want to hear, but don't pressure them.
Don't pressure
them. Because you see, their reasons for not wanting to marry early vary. Some say, you know what, I want to build a base in my career. I want to have some form of financial stability. I have not yet attained that before I even start thinking. I know I want to finish, whether it's my education, whether it's work. So it could be various things. Marriage is not a function of how old you are. It's a function of maturity.
We're going to take a short break now. And after this, we'll continue Family Today with Funmi Johnson. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Funmi Johnson, numeric 1.
You're listening to Family Today with Funmi Johnson.
Okay, you're welcome. This is Family Today with Funmi Johnson, and I still have my super guest in the house. This is Charity Babatunde's wife. She's a beautiful woman that has the fear of God. Her husband is a pastor, minister of the gospel that loves God too. And together they're raising two lovely young adults, because we can't call those ones children anymore. They say,
they're emerging adults.
So I want to ask you this question again. As parents, what can you do to encourage or inform or educate, or what can you do to
give your children a balanced view of marriage?
Yes. Even if you have not had a good one, or you have regrets in your marriage.
Okay. All right, so let me start with what you shouldn't do.
Okay.
What you shouldn't do. Number one, don't pressure.
Wow.
Don't pressure. Know that everybody is running their own race. Marriage goes beyond your age. There's a lot of maturity in it. You know, we talked about the list. It is that child's list. It is not your list.
Oh my God.
And you don't want to. Unfortunately, people are guilty of it. Don't try and live your life through your child. So the mistakes that you made, or the things you couldn't do, you now want to do it through your child, and that way you're putting the child under pressure. So don't pressure. Number two, don't dump. And I'll tell you a sad story. One of the things we do now.
Don't pressure.
Don't pressure.
And then
Number two, don't dump. Okay. And I'll explain what I mean. I'll tell you a sad story. One of the things we do in our organization is that we go to schools to talk to young people about values, attitudes, life skills, and all that. And we conduct this anonymous survey called What We Wish Our Parents Knew. It's anonymous because I don't want parents pressuring me. What did my child write? I don't know your child. I don't know what you're. I don't know. You know, but there are two things. Tell me two things you wish you could tell your parents. Why haven't you told them? Because we noticed that there was a huge communication gap. One of the remarks that has stood out in my mind was a 16-year-old child who said, my mom should stop complaining about my dad. She made her mistakes. If she doesn't want to live with it, she should get out.
Oh my God.
Now, what that suggests to me is that the mother has done a lot of dumping. First and foremost, your child is not emotionally mature to handle that kind of information. Unfortunately, some people do it not because they intend to, but they just feel, you know what, who else can I crowd to? Two, it may be that they want to curry favor. You know, you're using the child or your children as a pawn in the relationship that is going awry between you and your spouse. So you want to win sympathy, you know, and you're telling your child the aspects that are not so good. But we forget that has a huge implication on the child and the choices that the child is going to make. So it's interesting. I hear that there was this survey that was done, I think on Twitter. And they said, how many girls would want to marry, how many females would want to marry somebody like their dad? And I understand literally about 90% said, no thanks, I'm not interested. Now, there could be various reasons. It could be that they're seeing things that their dad is doing to the moms that they're not very happy with. Or it could be that the moms have dumped so much on them that they've decided that why. And you see, sometimes I tend to believe that it's probably the latter, because we have too many young people asking their mothers and saying, what are you still doing there? I can't take that rubbish that you're taking. You are the only one that will take it. And then every time you'll be saying, God will do it, God will do it, God will do it. That look, in our own generation, we're not doing God will do it. We open our eye and we go in. So that may be responsible for why they're hesitant.
Because directly, probably we parents are the one actually making marriage unattractive.
Oh, we do not probably. To a very large extent, we have made it very unattractive. And it's because they see us cohabiting and not really happy.
Say that again.
They see us cohabiting. We're living with our husbands. There's supposed to be an atmosphere of love, but they can see that there's something that is missing.
So there's a lot of resentment.
That if this is what it is,
I don't want this for the rest of my life.
What am I? I mean, why am I? Why am I getting into it? Some of them have answered, are you sure there's no expiry date on this thing? You know, are you sure God intended that it was to be for life? Wow. So we really need to sit down and ask ourselves some real questions. What message are we sending?
What message are we sending to
the next generation? Have we sold them the wrong concept of submission? Because again, that issue of submission is another huge one. What version of submission have we sold to them? Does it mean that to submit you are a doormat? That
especially to the girl
child. And because we have raised, like I keep saying, we have an emerging group of very strong women, very powerful, very successful women. They're not going to sit down and take that version of submission that makes you a doormat.
You know what? Okay, let me take this from a purely biblical point of view about the concept of submission. Because we do understand that submission is the word used in the Bible. And I also believe that even some people in the church, out of their limited understanding of revelation, have misled people in this concept of submission. I would handle submission from two angles. Submission is the Greek word hypotazo, which means to actually displace. It's a military terminology, which let me explain it this way. It's like two of us, you and I, we want to get to Victoria Island from Dolphin Estate, and both of us can drive. Now, if you go to the driver's seat, I submit to you by being in the passenger seat. If I struggle with you to be on the driver's seat, we will not get to Victoria Island. And that is what submission really is. That two of you of equal standing with the same valid driver's license have what it takes to drive that car to Victoria Island for convenience, for mutual coexistence. One person has to defer to the other person to be able to take both of you there. If we look at submission from that point of view, we will not have problem. And if you look at Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21, it says, submit yourself one to another. We actually miss that totally in the Bible. If submission is a derogatory word, the Bible would not have said, Paul would not have said to the church in Ephesus, submit yourself one to another. That means you submit to me, I submit to you. But we quickly jump to verse 22 where it says, wives, submit to your own husband. Why would Paul say wives should submit to their husband? Because somebody has to take ownership.
Absolutely.
For the government of the house. It does not in any way mean that this man is superior to the woman. But then we have taken it, culture now took it out of context to give the man a larger than life position, which has put men under a lot of pressure. And that is where they began to say that it is a man's responsibility to provide for the home. It is not stated anywhere. So we need to actually, I think as parents, go back to re-educate our children.
Re-educate ourselves first. You know, they say the 21st century illiterate is a person who's not willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn.
The 21st century illiterate?
Yes, it's a person who's not willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn.
Okay, so what do we need to unlearn?
We need to question the version of submission that we bought.
Because I believe one of the major problems that is happening to us generally, and that is what is really causing problem even in the Western world. Now, there's now two extremes. People are now rebelling because it is not in the nature of God to subjugate or to put anyone under. Because in the kingdom of God, there's no male, there's no female, there's no Greek, there's no Jew. Spirit is not gender specific, and we are spirit beings.
And you know, I like what you said, because when you said it's not so much about who is superior.
No.
It is about
who is capable.
And then again, you look at the superiority of the argument or the situation.
Yes.
Who is bringing in, or what is the wisdom for the situation? It's not you see, by the time you bring in your personality and ego gets into it, you're going to head for a crash.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's not about, okay, who is, I must always be right. I must always be
and then
wrong.
Because I'm the
and
man,
then the feminists are now coming up and saying no. And then there's this toxic version of feminism that is being touted. You know, so we need, it's not about that. At the end of the day, what is in the overall interest of us?
Wow.
Us as a couple, us as a family, of you. I'm supposed to help you be a better version of you.
Of you.
You are supposed to help me be a better version of me.
Wow.
It is not, you can't be shining at the other person's expense, and the other person is shy. So you come together to work together to achieve a common goal.
You can't be shining at the other person's expense.
It's not. I think this is
where we need to really, understand that maybe most of us have been wrongly trained, or we've been exposed to wrong versions.
But you see, the good thing is we take responsibility for what we've learned. So it's our responsibility
to unlearn
even if
it.
we were exposed, it's our responsibility to go and we were not supposed to just take it line hook and say. We were supposed to go and study. Did we study?
No, we did not.